What's happening? Happy Thursday night to you and yours, the Patriots. So tonight's NFL draft, and I am one happy man. If you're happy, raise the glass with me, whether it's water, juice, milk, beer, whatever it is, raise that glass because it happened. It happened. The guy that I've wanted since I'd say at least a month ago when I put Drake Maye ahead of Jaden Daniels in my personal rankings. Not that that means anything. We all have personal rankings. We must first accept this idea that Drake Maye might fail. He might be awful. He might never work out, but he also might be unbelievable. He might be a top 8 quarterback. He might reach that potential that we talk about. The Josh Allen, maybe a little bit too much on that one. The Justin Herbert. But here we are. Drake Maye is a New England Patriot. Cheers. A little sip here for a second. Tastes damn good. Tastes damn good. All right, let's talk about it. I'm thrilled with the pick. I want your thoughts. Your thoughts on Drake Maye being the future of this Patriots franchise. That's it. That's what happens. You draft a guy 3rd overall. He is the future of your franchise. He is the face of this franchise. Jerod, Mayo, Eliot Wolf are speaking to the media. We will have plenty of comments from them in just a few minutes. We will also tell you that Bill Belichick doing the show with Pat McAfee tonight on YouTube and other places. Bill Belichick had plenty of comments about one Drake Maye. What did he say about Maye? We'll get to all of that, but I'm thrilled with the pick. I want to know how many of you are happy. Are you thrilled? Are you upset? Are you disappointed? I've said this from the beginning. When you're sitting, and how about J.C. Latham going 7th? When you're sitting there at number 3, when you're sitting there, you take the big swing. You take the guy with the high ceiling. And we all understand that Drake Maye has faults. And look, what I'm going to do tonight is I am going to cover Drake Maye from pillar to post. I am going to give you the good. I am going to give you the bad. I'm going to give you the realistic look, the objective look at Drake Maye. I'm thrilled. I'm excited. I wanted him to be the guy. But I am going to be objective, and I'm going to give you the bad along with the good. But you take the big swing. You stand up at the dish and J.J. McCarthy with number 3. I've said that from the beginning. No thank you on McCarthy. No thank you on Michael Penix. You don't draft those guys at 3. You draft the guy that you believe can do something special, that you believe can be a top 5 to 8 quarterback in the NFL. And that's what the Patriots did tonight. That's what Eliot Wolf did tonight by taking that big swing and drafting Drake Maye. Again, I'm going to get into the best of Maye. I'm going to get into the worst of Maye. But the first thing we have to acknowledge is that this is a player that needs coach development. We all understand that. He's 21 years old. He's going to turn 22 in late August. This is a young talent. A lot of that talent is raw. So we have to keep an eye on the coaching and the development. This is going to fall on Alex Van Pelt. It's going to fall on T.C. McCartney. It's going to fall on some, I would imagine, Ben McAdoo. They have to coach this young man. They have to develop this young man. That is the biggest aspect of this pick. Because if you fail to develop him, he's going to fail. As simple as that. So, coach, development, huge. You don't need to rush him. You've got Jacoby Brissett. I know Mel Kiper said that you can wait 5 to 7 weeks into the season if you want to start him. I don't even care if you take all year. I honestly don't. I couldn't care less if you take all season. If he has to sit there for the full season, and that means that he's going to, make that leap in 2025, I'm fine with it. Because this is all about 2025, 2026, 2028. Are we doing spoilers here? Are we going to do spoilers? I was going to try to stay away from spoilers, but I can't watch the TV and talk at the same time. The Atlanta Falcons are going to shock the world right here. The Falcons are going to shock the freaking world. I can't believe what Atlanta's going to do. Can't believe it. So you don't need to rush Drake Maye. You can take your time with him. I would hope that ownership has patience and they understand that it may take some time. I would hope that the fans are patient, with Drake Maye. Do not expect him to step on the field week one and be dynamite. This is a rebuilding process. You're going to give him a year or two to start to reach that potential. So patience is needed with Drake Maye. 100%. That's what's needed. That's what's needed. All right, before we continue, we're going to look at the good, bad of May coming up. Don't forget to give us that thumbs up. Like this channel, like YouTube as you watch it. More eyeballs, no doubt. You can like the channel. You can subscribe to the channel. Looking to get 3,500 subscriptions. That's the next goal. So we're looking at 3,500 subscriptions as the next goal. And I think we can hit that with more support like we've been doing. So I appreciate you. Like, subscribe. If you're listening to this on Spotify and Apple Pods, rate and review as well. Drake Maye is a New England Patriot. Got a couple of super chats to get to. And then I'm going to start telling you what Bill Belichick had to say about Drake Maye. I'm going to give you some of the comments from Jerod Mayo and Eliot Wolf. But the pick is in for the Atlanta Falcons. And I don't think any of you are going to believe who just got drafted by Atlanta. I'm not going to spoil it. We're going to try to go no spoilers here. I saw it on Twitter, but you're not going to believe who Atlanta drafts at number 8. You're not going to believe it. You're just not going to believe it. All right, JB Brown jumps in with a super chat. Patriots had no choice. Got to risk it to get the biscuit. Now go get a wide receiver. Yeah, you gotta risk it to get the biscuit is the perfect way to put that, right? You've got to go out there and take the big swing, take the big hack, take the guy with the big ceiling. That's what drafting third is all about. You don't draft a lower ceiling, high floor guy at 3. You don't do it. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I can't believe that the Atlanta Falcons just drafted Michael Penix 8th overall. Michael Penix. They just signed Kirk Cousins to a gigantic contract, and they used the 8th pick overall on Michael Penix. Now, look, if Penix is going to drop in right now and he's going to play for that football team, it makes sense. But now you have a 23-year-old quarterback that you just drafted 8th overall while you have Kirk Cousins on the roster. I don't know. Doesn't make sense. I agree with JB Brown, though. Had no choice. To me, you take the guy who has the higher ceiling. That's what you do with Drake Maye. Vitalix jumps in with a super chat, $5 super chat. The risk of passing on his upside and having him succeed elsewhere, making you look dumb, was terrifying. Have to take risks. Let's go. You have to take risks. You don't get ahead without taking some risk. And no matter who you draft, you're taking a risk. There's no doubt that Drake Maye is a risk. There's no doubt about that. And we'll talk about some of the bad with him, right? We'll talk about pretty much all of the bad with him because there is bad that he has to fix. But you take that risk, you take that shot. That's what it's about. You don't play it safe. Don't play it safe at 3. I think it's ridiculous to play it safe at 3. All right, Bill Belichick. Here's what Bill Belichick had to say about Drake Maye to Pat McAfee as soon as the pick was made. Quote, Drake compares himself a lot to Josh Allen. I'm not going to do my Belichick impersonation. We'll see about that. I think there are some comparisons with size and athleticism, but Josh Allen is a pretty special player. Belichick said that Drake Maye is a very talented kid. Good size, runs well, has a good arm. He just hasn't played very much. He really doesn't have a lot of experience. He makes some big plays. He's going to need some work in reading defenses, reading coverages. He's kind of quick to bail out of the pocket. He's going to have to hang in there a little bit longer to find those receivers. This is a kid who can make all the throws. He just needs to be more consistent. Transitioning from a college quarterback to a pro quarterback, he's just going to need some time and experience. You know, I honestly thought that Belichick was being fair. I thought Belichick was being fair to Drake Maye in his breakdown. And by the way, I don't know if it's Bill Belichick's big board. I don't know if it's his personal big board, but Belichick did have Drake Maye 5th on his big board. Whether or not that was his, I have no clue, but that's what was on the board tonight. I can't get over Penix. I can't get over Penix going to Atlanta. Maybe they have a trade worked out or something. Like, I don't know. All right, so here's what Mayo and Eliot Wolf had to say about Drake Maye, okay? They just met with the media. This is funny. We've been talking about what would the Patriots do at 3? Would Jaden Daniels fall to them? Would it be Drake Maye falling to them? What would Washington do? Would it be Jaden Daniels? Or would it be somebody else? Would it be J.J. McCarthy? Adam Schefter reported tonight that it was actually between J.J. McCarthy and Jaden Daniels for Washington. So Washington, Drake Maye wasn't in the conversation at the end of this thing. According to Schefter, it was McCarthy and it was Daniels. And when you look at Adam Schefter, we all know he's from Michigan. He's got a pipeline to the Wolverines. So I would imagine he gets really good information. I would imagine he gets really good information about Michigan players, and he got really good information about J.J. McCarthy. So here's what Eliot Wolf said, though. Eliot Wolf said the Patriots have known for weeks that Daniels was going to Washington. I always say we find out stuff like 2 to 3 weeks after it actually has been said. When we read a lot of these reports, a lot of times this stuff happened behind closed doors weeks ago. So Eliot Wolf told the media tonight that the Patriots knew Jaden Daniels was headed towards Washington for weeks. They knew for a quote-unquote long time. They were not surprised. They were not surprised that Daniels went to the Commanders. They knew that was what's going to happen. According to Wolf, they knew what was going to happen. By the way, Rome Odunze going to Chicago. So now you got Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. I mean, you got to love that for that offense. You got Keenan Allen. You traded for Keenan Allen. You got DJ Moore. Caleb Williams, that offense, man, it's going to be explosive. Chicago going to have an explosive offense. Jerod Mayo said we were very comfortable with Maye. Wolf said he has a lot of talent. Mayo, happy we got him. Wolf said that Drake Maye is a player who elevates the players around him. Wolf said they did talk to other teams about trades, but, quote, all along we knew we were in a unique opportunity to get a quarterback we liked. So they were talking to teams. They were taking those calls, but all along Wolf knew, the team knew, we can get a guy that we like. Now, hopefully they love him and not just like him. So they knew Jaden Daniels weeks ago was going to Washington. They love Maye. They took the calls to see what people were offering, and they decided, no, we have a chance. Oh, the Jets traded with the Minnesota Vikings, huh? So maybe we get some J.J. McCarthy here at 10. Very interesting. So you look at that, and you feel good about it. Because Wolf and the Patriots, if they did know about Daniels going back weeks ago, then they had talked about this over and over and over again. They have to be very, very comfortable with Drake Maye. They knew they weren't getting Daniels. They were not caught off guard. And so now you have your guy sitting there on the board. And because they knew that weeks ago and they decided to pull the trigger on Drake Maye, I think that tells us that they felt really, really good about Maye, which is what the reporting has been over the past month or two. So you have to feel really good about that. Now, here's the thing. We talked about Drake Maye. He's going to need time, right? Maye's not going to be able to start right away. It's just not going to work. I think you need to sit him for at least half the season, maybe even the full season. And Mayo was asked about starting rookies, and he had something very telling to say, quote, I don't think many rookies are ready to play. So Mayo tonight with the media said, I don't think many rookies are ready to play. VT's asking who got Penix. The Atlanta Falcons got Penix. Think about that. Mayo says they will have a competition and they will play the best player. One theme from Wolf, according to tweets, everything was on Maye's shoulders. So you know how we talked about J.J. McCarthy, and we spent time talking about how McCarthy, Michigan did not put a lot on McCarthy's arm. McCarthy, they ran the football a lot, had a great offensive line. They did not ask him to carry the team. And it was interesting because Wolf with the media tonight, he mentioned how Drake Maye, he had everything on his shoulders. that Maye had everything on his shoulders at North Carolina. And Eliot Wolf said that he believed that Drake Maye elevated everyone around him, a trait that he values at quarterback. So when Eliot Wolf was watching the film and he was talking to people, he realized that Drake Maye was the guy who elevated players around him. He was a leader. He elevated people. He had everything on his back. He had everything on his shoulders at North Carolina. And that was different than a lot of these other quarterbacks, or a number of these other quarterbacks. Jerod Mayo said that Wolf put together a tape of good plays and lowlights, and that they showed Drake Maye. So they sat Drake Maye down. They showed his highlights, and then they showed his awful plays. And Mayo said the Patriots were impressed at how Maye explained his mistakes. He said he put things on himself even when other players messed up. So you think about this, okay? Drake Maye sitting there. They put his worst plays on film at North Carolina, and they asked him what went wrong. And he said, that's on me. Even though it wasn't him. Even though it was not him that made the mistake, he still took accountability for that. And remember what Eliot Wolf said? Remember when Eliot Wolf talked about leadership and body language and taking accountability? That must have been music to the ears of Wolf and Mayo when they're sitting Maye down and they're showing him terrible play after terrible play, and he's taking accountability, and they're saying to themselves, that's not on him. That's on the receiver. That's not on him. That's on the offensive lineman. So imagine that. How great that must have been for Wolf and Mayo to hear that kind of stuff. Wolf says the Patriots have to support Drake Maye every way they can. You want to talk about music to your ears? Wolf said tonight, we need to add some weapons to the offense. We need to shore up the offensive line. How about that? You know what? Let me take a sip here. How about this idea that when Eliot Wolf met with the media last week, that he didn't actually tell us the truth? Remember I said this last week, Eliot Wolf is not in the business of being honest to us a week before the draft. And there were people that actually criticized Wolf for telling everybody that, hey, we had NFL players. We got NFL receivers. We got NFL offensive linemen. He said that he believes that they have enough to support a young quarterback. That was all crap. I told you that on this podcast last week. All of that was crap. And Eliot Wolf admitted tonight that what he said last week was crap, because sitting in front of the media tonight, he told the media, he told you fans, he told me, we need to add some weapons to the offense. There it is. Wolf, clear as day. We need to add weapons. He said it after they drafted Drake Maye. We have to support the quarterback. We have to add weapons. We need to shore up the offensive line. So all the talk about, Chuck Sikorafor can be the left tackle and KJ Osborne can play the X receiver. It was crap. And I tweeted this out last week. If you took what Eliot Wolf said last week as him being honest, you were being gullible. And tonight, he admitted that. He sat up there in front of the media. They're happy. They're very happy to have Drake Maye, but we ain't done. We got to add weapons. We need to shore up the offensive line. And of course, we talked about this earlier tonight, right? Tom Curran reported tonight on NBC Sports Boston that the Patriots have been talking with San Francisco about Brandon Ayuk. So it is rather obvious Eliot Wolf is, as we say in radio, efforting to add weapons to go along with his young future franchise quarterback. Now, how about that? How about the idea of drafting a high-ceiling, toolsy quarterback with the third pick in the draft, and then following that up, telling the media we've got to add weapons and shore up the offensive line? Everybody should be thrilled by what Eliot Wolf said tonight. Every single one of us should be happy. Backyard Cyclist $10 super chat. Thank you. I appreciate you. I will have a sip to that. I appreciate you, my friend. Super chat. You can jump to the front of the line with your comment, your question. Backyard Cyclist helping us out with that $10 super chat. All right, so let's get into the nitty gritty. All right. Do you want the good or the bad first of Drake Maye? I'm going to wait. I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds. Do you want the bad of Drake Maye first, or do you want the good? Do we want to end with the bad, or do we want to end with the good? Manolo says bad. I'm going to sit back and wait for a couple of seconds. Backyard Cyclist, cheers, friend. Definitely bad first. Bad first, Nolan says. Mr. Snoopy says bad. Just Morg says don't care. He's a Patriot. LOL. Bad. All right, let's start with the bad. Let's get the bad out of the way. Let's get the bad out of the way, and then we'll get to the good. And I'll tell you why we should all be excited about Drake Maye, okay? I mean, I got goosebumps. I don't know if you guys are wrestling fans, but The Rock does this all the time when he comes out, when he shows the goosebumps. All right, so here's the bad. His footwork is messy. His footwork is all over the place. That's a problem. His footwork needs to be improved. We've talked a lot about that. I don't need to dive into it a ton because we've discussed it a lot. The footwork is messy. The footwork absolutely needs development. Okay? So the footwork, work on it. Elongated throwing motion. He's got an elongated throwing motion. He's a little bit slow to release the football. J.J. McCarthy goes 10th to the Minnesota Vikings. So the Vikings get McCarthy. They did not have to move up to 3. They get him at 10. So you have 5 quarterbacks off the board in the first 10 picks. At least 2 or 3 of those guys are not going to be good or won't be nearly as good as people think. Hopefully, Drake Maye is not one of the guys that's not as good as we hope he's going to be. So elongated throwing motion, we've been through it. He misses layups. Drake Maye misses layups. When you watch his film in 2023, when you look at last season at North Carolina, he misses layups. He misses easy throws. It's frustrating, borderline infuriating. You look at it, you say, how in the world did he miss that throw? How in the world did he not hit that guy who was wide ass open 5 yards away from him? What happened? Why did it happen? Why did that happen? So he misses layups. His 2023 was not nearly as good as his 2022. His 2022 film was literally some of the best quarterback film of the year in college football. He took a step back in 2023. So he took a step back, and some would say it was a significant step back this past year versus what he did in 2022. Statistically, you would see that, and when you watch him, you would see that. So he's coming off of a very, very mediocre year. Erratic ball placement, okay? He sprays the football around a little bit. He's inaccurate at times. So, as Merrill Hodge said, he is erratic. So he's got some of that erratic to him that could really, bite you in the ass at the NFL level especially. So footwork, throwing motion, misses layups, coming off of a not so good year, erratic ball placement. He's a gunslinger, so he's reckless. He's got a little bit of recklessness to him. He'll try to do too much at one point. He'll try to make something out of nothing. He'll make a throw that he should not have made because he almost trusts his arm too much. So he's reckless. He is a bit of a gunslinger, so you've got to get used to that. And because of that, because he's got some recklessness, and by the way, give us that thumbs up. Give me a second here on a Thursday night. Give me that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe as well. Looking for 3,500 subscribers. That's the next goal. But give us that like. Give us that like. More likes means more eyeballs. Let's beat the YouTube algorithm. So the gunslinger has a little bit of recklessness, and because of that, his negative play percentage was almost 8.5%, which is a pretty large number. I mean, that is a large number. 8.5% negative plays. No bueno. He's got to cut those negative plays way down. He is sporadic, short, intermediate throws. So again, erratic, sporadic, inaccurate at times. He'll miss the easy ones. That's some of the stuff that you look at. Here's the final bad I'll give you. I saved the worst for last. But then we're going to get to the good. Then I'm going to get you excited. I'm going to get you pumped and jacked for Drake Maye, New England Patriot quarterback, okay? But here are some frightening numbers. I told you I'm going to be objective. I am going to be objective. I'm going to give you the bad with the good so you know what to expect from this guy, so you're not surprised. Now, here are some horrifying numbers. This is from Warren Sharp. From Data, Sports Info Solutions. Here's a look at Drake Maye's on-target rate rank at various distances downfield when throwing from the pocket with no pressure. So this is with zero pressure. Remember that. From 0 to 9 yards. From 0 to 9 yards. Drake Maye, when you look at on-target rate, finished 92nd out of 123 quarterbacks. Brutal. 92nd out of 123 quarterbacks in college football last year from 0 to 9 yards. On-target rate rank. Olu Fashanu, offensive tackle, goes to the Jets. Not a surprise. Morgan Moses, long in the tooth, right? Tyron Smith, long in the tooth. So Olu Fashanu from Penn State, he's off the board. The third offensive tackle taken. We got to keep an eye on those offensive tackles. All right, so 10 to 19 yards. Drake Maye was 101 out of 103 on target rate rank from 10 to 19 yards. Again, no pressure. Awful. 20-plus yards, he was 40th out of 78 quarterbacks on target rate rank with zero pressure. So from 0 to 9 yards, he ranked 92nd. From 10 to 19 yards, 101st. 20-plus yards, 40th out of 78. So those are some god-awful numbers. If you want to be scared about those numbers. And his offensive line wasn't very good, but you could argue his offensive line last year was better than it was in 2022. Now, there's lots of context missing, but again, I'm being fair to give you the numbers. Maye's pressure rate dropped by about 8%. Dropped about 8% from 2022 to 2023. So those are the numbers. Those are the numbers that are brutal. Those are the numbers that'll scare you. So the bad with Drake Maye, footwork, throwing motion, misses layups, not coming off of a great year, erratic ball placement, some recklessness because he's a gunslinger, lots of negative plays. He's sporadic, short and intermediate area. And I gave you those frightening numbers. Okay. We got through that. We got through that. Now let's get to the good. Now let's talk about why you should be very, very excited about Drake Maye in this young man's ceiling. You should think about the talent. You should think about the big swing that Eliot Wolf just took, okay? Give me that like. Give me that subscription because we're going to talk about Drake Maye and we're going to tell you why you should be excited that he went to your New England Patriots at number 3 tonight. Let's drink up for a second. And now, let's get to the good. Drake Maye is a great fit for this scheme. He is the perfect fit for this scheme. Alex Van Pelt, West Coast offense. If you looked at all of these quarterbacks in this draft, arguably, Maye is the best fit for this offense and for this offensive coordinator. Before I move on, got to jump into a couple of quick super chats because people are sending me my money. Thank you. Wanted to give you $13 to pay for a Foxborough beer. Watching Belichick on McAfee, he likes McCarthy a lot more than Maye. He would have traded back. I don't know if that's serious. If that's serious, are we surprised? Are we surprised that Belichick would like McCarthy more than Maye? I'm not. Because Drake Maye is the big swing. Drake Maye's the big swing. So, if we were sitting here with Belichick, if that's how he truly feels, he would have traded back and drafted J.J. McCarthy at probably, 11? It's very interesting, by the way, that Minnesota went from 11 to 10. They must have felt like Denver or the Raiders were trying to jump, right? Very interesting. They could have waited until 11 to draft McCarthy. They jumped to number 10 because they obviously felt like McCarthy was going to go 10 to somebody. So good. Good. I mean, it sounds very Belichickian, frankly, that he'd be into J.J. McCarthy, the intangibles, right? The intangibles guy. Charlie with a $10 super chat, and may we trust. Thank you, Charlie. Always love your support, man. Just tremendous. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate everybody spending their time with me on this Thursday night. This is podcast number 3. We're back tomorrow at 11 a.m. I think I'm going to do another podcast tomorrow night, unless the Patriots make a trade and then they don't draft at 34. But a lot going on. Okay, back to the good with Drake Maye. He is a great scheme fit. Again, Alex Van Pelt, throwing on the move. Throwing on the move. You'll see a lot of that with this Alex Van Pelt offense, right? Bootleg action, the rollout action. Drake Maye is comfortable throwing the football on the move. He is also the best quarterback in this class throwing to the middle of the field. He's better than Williams. He's better than Daniels. He's better than McCarthy. He's better than Penix. He's better than Bo Nix. He is the best quarterback in this draft when it comes to zipping the football down the middle of the field. Folks, this ain't Mac Jones. And I liked Mac Jones. He is the antithesis of Mac Jones. He is a gunslinger, big arm, rip it down the middle of the field. Willing to take chances, believing in his talent because he has elite traits. He's got some physical traits that would be categorized as elite, which is what Mac didn't have. And again, I liked Mac. So Drake Maye, when you think Alex Van Pelt's offense, you think bootleg action, throwing on the run, you think middle of the football field, down the seam. That's what you think, right? Middle of the field, down the seam. Maye is the best quarterback in this draft throwing those kinds of passes. And he's got some experience with his back to the offensive line and defensive lines. He has experience turning his back to the line of scrimmage. So he will be more comfortable dealing with that than other guys. Jaden Daniels, for example, never really turning his back to the line of scrimmage. J.J. McCarthy actually did more of that than anybody in this draft. He had more play action than anybody because Jim Harbaugh runs a pro-style offense. But Drake Maye has turned his back to the line of scrimmage, and he is comfortable with that. That's good. Again, we talk about the elite trait, his arm. It's his arm. The elite trait, testing defenses vertically. He can test defenses vertically. And so this is somebody that can be aggressive, make those deep throws, make them down the seam, make them outside the numbers, make those throws. Bo Nix. Unbelievable. So what do we got? 6 quarterbacks? A quarterback every 2 picks. Bo Nix goes to the Denver Broncos. I think Penix went too high. I think Bo Nix went too high. I still can't get over Atlanta paying Kirk Cousins all the money they paid him to draft a freaking quarterback in the top 10. That is stunning. Stunning. Backyard Cyclist, another $5 super chat. Thank you. I appreciate you. We're just celebrating Drake Maye tonight, baby. All right, so let's get back to the good, shall we? I think we shall. We're going to get back to the good. So the elite trait is the arm talent. He can test you vertically. He can rip those throws. He can rip it into small windows. Now, there's the good and the bad to that because he will take risks because he believes in his arm. He believes in that trait, and he should believe it. So elite trait, his arm. Drake Maye is also very good off platform and off schedule. He's not afraid to create. You know, Michael Penix is mostly a stationary quarterback, right? Mac Jones, mostly a stationary quarterback. Maye can make plays off platform. He can make plays off schedule. He can do the things that defenses weren't expecting him to do. He can drive defenses crazy because he can surprise you. He can turn nothing into something, which is fantastic. Being able to play off schedule and off platform in the NFL in 2024 is critical at the quarterback position. It's so critical. And Maye has that capability. Let's talk about big time throws. If I don't have you yet, let's talk about big time throws. And while we do that, don't forget to give us that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's continue to support this program. It's 9:35 on a Thursday. The draft is to my right. You are to my center. To my left, I got some notes for you, and we are celebrating Drake Maye. Pro Football Focus. Drake Maye made 38 big-time throws for an 8.7% big-time throw rate last season. He had 32 such throws this past season. In both seasons, he recorded a sub 2.0 turnover-worthy play rate. Drake Maye, full of big-time throws on film, made a ton of big-time throws. His highlights are highlights, okay? His highlights are the kind of plays that you watch and you go, how in the hell can somebody do that? How did he just do that? How did that happen? He makes those throws. He makes the 45, 50-yard throw down the field while he's rolling out away from the pressure and just flings it and lays it right there for the guy. He makes those kinds of jaw-dropping throws, and he makes those kinds of throws, some would tell you, at least 2 or 3 times a game. It's not every 4 weeks, 5 weeks. This guy will have a jaw-dropping throw a couple of times a game. When you go, holy hell, what just happened? What in the world just happened? 38 big-time throws. This guy is capable of doing things that not many other humans at that position can do. That's what I've been stressing. He can do things that not others can do. He attacks downfield. Drake Maye, 63 completions, at least 15 yards downfield. That was number 2 in the FBS. So he will attack defenses downfield, 63 completions, at least 15 yards. Again, number 2 in the FBS. His frame, he's a big dude. He's built to last. 6'4", 225 pounds. He's only 21 years old. This guy can easily be 6'4", 6'5", and 240 by year 3, which is a monster. He looks like he got off of a conveyor belt for quarterbacks at the NFL. You don't grow guys like this very often. He puts on a little bit more muscle and weight, which he will. We're talking about somebody who's 6'4", 240 pounds. That is a big man. That is a big man with a big arm, and he's athletic. His mobility is overlooked. From Chad Graff, Drake Maye can use his legs on more than just design rollouts. Maye had 56 rushes of 10 or more yards in the last 2 seasons. That's the second most in Division I, only behind Jaden Daniels. So we always talk about Jaden Daniels and his athleticism. We talk about Daniels and his big playability. Well, when you look at Drake Maye had 56 rushes of 10 or more yards the last 2 years, which again is second to only Jaden Daniels. But Drake Maye is 6'4", 240, or will be. He's currently 6'4", 225. Maye accounted for 42 first downs while running the ball on 3rd or 4th down in the past 2 seasons. So 3rd down, 4th down, he will get you the extra yards that you need. He will get you that first down. That's what he's about. That's what he's about. He turns 22, August 30th. He's young. He's young. You can mold him. And I think you've got the right guys. You've got the right guys to mold Maye. Alex Van Pelt, fantastic quarterbacks coach. Everybody will tell you that. He's obviously the offensive coordinator, but he's going to have a hand in helping Drake Maye develop. T.C. McCartney, very well thought of, up-and-coming young quarterbacks coach, right? Hopefully someday offensive coordinator. Ben McAdoo will be there just in case you need to lend a hand. So they have the type of coaching staff that can help mold this young, raw, super talented, 6'4", 225, big-armed quarterback. Are you excited yet? Well, let me tell you about his makeup, because I just told you about, some of the traits on the field. Let me tell you about some of the makeup. Mike Giardi got this from a source in the last week or two. This is what the source said about Drake Maye. Quote, "The kid himself, he's not going to bust. You may bust him, but he has everything you want beyond the obvious natural gifts. Teammates love him. He puts in the work. And he put that program on his back for the last 2 seasons. If he hits his ceiling, he's a top 10 quarterback." So this source said that Drake Maye, he's not going to bust on his own. He's got work ethic, he's got leadership, and he has the natural, raw talent. The only way this kid is going to end up being a bust, according to this source who spoke with Mike Giardi, the only way he's going to be a bust is if the team screws him over. The only way he's going to bust is if the team fails to support him, fails to coach him, fails to develop him. His family is an athletic family, which means a lot. Good genes. They know how to handle adversity. They know how to handle being athletes. His brother is a professional basketball player overseas. So he's got the leadership gene. He's got the strength and toughness. He played with 2 injuries this last season. Played with an ankle injury and a sprained AC joint in his left shoulder. And by the way, his response to pressure, this is really interesting. 55% of the time when he faced pressure, he stood and delivered. He's willing to stay in the pocket, take the pressure, take the hit, and fire the football. Stand and deliver. He took a sack under 15% of the time. He scrambled 9% of the time. He threw the football away 6.5% of the time. He escaped 15.5% of the time. The reason why I give you those numbers is because we talked about Jayden Daniels. And one of the things that concerned me about Jayden Daniels is the fact that he always loved to tuck and run. He loves tucking and running. His initial instinct is he tucks the ball and he runs when he doesn't see somebody. He's constantly scrambling. He's constantly running. So, for example, Jayden Daniels, when facing pressure, he stood and delivered the football 36.7% of the time. Drake Maye did it 55% of the time. He scrambled 18.3%, which is almost twice as much, twice as often as Drake Maye would scramble with the football. Here's the truly scary thing. Jayden Daniels, with his unbelievable athletic ability, when he had pressure on him, he took a sack over 23% of the time. Drake Maye took a sack under 15% of the time. How about Drake Maye versus the blitz? 85.1 Pro Football Focus grade at over 7 yards per attempt, according to Evan Lazar. So this is a guy who had an excellent grade against the blitz with a mediocre offensive line and not a lot of weapons. He had a very, very good, an excellent grade against the blitz. And as a junior, as a true junior, Evan Lazar wrote this, as a true junior, Drake Maye was given the freedom to do things at the line of scrimmage. He could check into things when he saw fit. He would change entire plays. He would change protections. Unbelievable stuff. Sub 20% in pressure to sack rate, which is that key number. So again, what do you get with Drake Maye? You get a scheme fit, a great scheme fit with Alex Van Pelt's offense. You get an elite trait in his arm. You get the ability to produce and create off-platform, off-schedule. You get a lot of big-time throws. guy who attacks downfield. You get somebody who has that big prototypical NFL quarterback frame at 6'4", 225 pounds, mobility, athleticism, not even 22 years old yet, plenty of room to grow, leadership, makeup. He's going to need time. He's going to need time. He needs to develop. But everywhere that I've seen, everywhere I've read, seen, heard, everybody, Kevin O'Connell to Ted Wynn, everybody says that the lower half, the footwork is fixable. This coaching staff now has to get to work. Coaching staff has to get to work to develop Drake Maye. I'm thrilled with the pick. He was my guy. Let's jump to Super Chats. Let's see. Choo-choo. We celebrating Drake. Lost my voice screaming. Yes, we are celebrating Drake. I'm getting a little low here, but we are celebrating Drake. It is a great time to celebrate. I appreciate you, choo-choo. I really do. Vitalix jumps back in and says, how long do we have you, Nick? First round? See if Pats move up, maybe, LOL. I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break. If the Patriots do move up, I'll end up coming back. I think of that GIF, like 200 years. How long has Nick been on the podcast for? 200 years. By the way, is a defensive player going to be taken tonight? I'd like to see a run of like 5 defensive players right now, so tackles and receivers drop. That would make me very happy. Well, Michael Pittman, Indianapolis, wide receiver. I'm guessing Indy might go receiver. That's been some of the scuttlebutt, as they say. So Drake Maye is going to need time to develop, but the footwork is fixable from everything that I've read, everything I've heard, everything I've seen. If they take time to develop this young man, they will do just that. And the footwork and the mechanics. And as a matter of fact, people will tell you at his pro day, he already showed some signs of improvement. All right, don't forget to give us that like. Don't forget to subscribe. We've got, let's see, who's next? Backyard Cyclist back. Nick to protect Drake Maye. Trade up for a left tackle. What are the chances? I think you got chances here. I think you got a good chance. I honestly do. And we've heard that the Patriots want to try to move back into the first round from some people. Some people believe that they will move back into in the first round. Jerod Mayo to the fans tonight. He told the fans at the draft party, hey, we pick early, but you might want to stay around because we could sneak back into that first round. So, yeah, I mean, you could look at guys. You could look at guys like Amarius Mims. Tyler Guyton is a name. Suama Atia is a name that, could get drafted somewhere in the 20s. If you're looking at receivers, though, you got Brian Thomas Jr., who might be going to Indianapolis. We'll see if that's the case. Again, wouldn't be surprised if Indy goes with a wide receiver here. But, you've got Brian Thomas Jr., you've got A.D. Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell a little shaky, but you've got A.D. Mitchell. You've got a lot of possibilities here, but you're going to have a run. And you're having, you're starting to see some of these tackles, offensive side of the ball. I mean, it's just nonstop offense. You got 14 straight offensive players. So, Fuaga's off the board. Latham is off the board. Fashanu is off the board. Joe Alt is off the board. So we'll have to keep an eye on this offensive tackle market. But, yeah, they could absolutely jump in. They could absolutely jump into the first round and make something happen. Appreciate you, Backyard Cyclist. Let's go to Nelson Lloyd. Nelson Lloyd, always love your pods, Nick. I believe in this regime. They don't want history to repeat itself again, so believe that they will truly do right by Maye. I agree with that. Again, Eliot Wolf, earlier tonight with the media, one of the first things he said to the media, which should be music to all of our ears. All of our ears should be perking up like my dog Sammy's ears perk up. Eliot Wolf said, we need to add some weapons to the offense. We need to shore up the offensive line. So don't believe the hype. Don't believe what Eliot Wolf said last week at that Fakakta press conference. That thing was fugazi. He was lying to everybody. Of course he was lying to everybody. It's a week before the draft. He's not going to tell us the truth. He's not being interrogated by the FBI. What are we doing here? Don't forget to give me that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review if you're listening to Spotify and Apple Pods. So Eliot Wolf is sitting there, Nelson. And Nelson, he said to all of us tonight, we need to add offensive weapons. We need to add some weapons to the offense, and we need to shore up the offensive line. They've been talking to San Francisco reportedly about Brandon Ayuk. And Tom Curran tonight on NBC Sports Boston said that the Patriots are extremely motivated to trade for a veteran wide receiver. It's exactly what you want to hear, isn't it? Appreciate you, Nelson. Slipperhouse, extra, longtime 757 fan here. Love the 757. Trying to get down there. Want to try to get down there in early May, but it didn't work out. I got to get down there soon. I'm absolutely going to get down to Norfolk, Virginia Beach, see my people down there. I want to get down there sometime this summer, at least once, if not a couple of times. So hopefully I can get that, to work out schedule-wise. Not a Pats fan, but good for y'all. Long live King Cattles. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You talk about King Cattles. I got to chair somebody else. Because literally as I'm talking to you, watch this. How about that? How about the wife coming through? She just walked in and put the beer. She put the beer right on the corner of the table. Now, that's some fantastic stuff, isn't it? She delivers me my beer. It's fantastic. So how are we feeling? Feeling great about Drake Maye? Let me bop around some of this. Let's see. J and AVL says this is fantastic. Just Morg says wife for the win. Yeah. Drew F says Cattles is a lucky man. I am very lucky. She deals with me. I mean, just that. Just that. I'm lucky. Patriots logo says, well, I'm a Drake Maye fan now. Here's what I'll say, okay? Here's one thing I'll say. I love a GM or a president of football operations, whatever. I love a GM that's willing to take swings, that believes in talent, that believes in potential, that is not afraid of the moment, not playing it safe. I love a GM that does stuff like that. I mean, think about what Eliot Wolf has done, right? And I know some people are frustrated or were frustrated, but think about what he has done. He went after Calvin Ridley, the best available wide receiver on the market. He went after Calvin Ridley aggressively. Adam Schefter and Tom Curran both reported tonight that Wolf called the Chargers about Justin Herbert. He called the Chargers to check to see if Harbaugh wanted to actually move up and draft his guy. Oh, Leatu Latu goes 15th to Indy. So there's your first defensive player off the board. Leatu Latu, edge, UCLA, fantastic talent, super producer on the edge. The question with him is his neck. He was actually medically disqualified because of the neck issue, transferred to UCLA, and put up some big-time statistics. One of the best pass rushers in this draft. So good for him. The health is the question. Washington said we're not going to risk it. Washington, said, see you later. He had to medically retire, then went to UCLA a couple years later, and the guy's a baller. So there's your first defensive player. Cornerbacks are still on the board. So hopefully, if you get a run of defensive players, that's great news for the Patriots. Because more defensive players means more offensive tackles and wide receivers are sliding down the board. So to get back to Eliot Wolf, though, this idea of taking swings, going after big talent on offense, understanding that you can't win with a bunch of mediocrity on that side of the football, a bunch of average offense, right? And that's what we've seen. That's what we've seen. And this offense would have been even worse if it wasn't for Brady in 2018 and 2019. It just, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled with a guy who's calling the shots, who says, we want weapons. We want talent. We want to score points. We don't want to deal with a bunch of average players on that side of the ball. It's 2024. By the way, apparently the Falcons called Kirk Cousins when they were on the clock to let him know they were drafting Penix. Diana Rossini tweeted out that from what she has learned, Kirk Cousins understood a quarterback would be considered, but he did not believe his successor would be taken in the first round. Yikes. Could you imagine that? Kirk Cousins just signed a big fat contract extension. Well, a big fat contract with Atlanta, right? They back up the Brinks truck for this guy. He's thinking, all right, I'm starting quarterback for the next 3 years. I got no issues, right? I'm the guy. I just got all this money. And he's sitting at home. He's sitting at home tonight watching the draft. Ring-a-ding-ding-ding-ding. He picks up the phone, and it's, I don't know, I'm guessing Terry Fontenot, the Falcons GM. He picks up the phone. They're like, yeah, we're going to draft Michael Penix here. Oh, wait, what? I'm sorry? You're doing what? What happened? Dude was blindsided. Blindsided. And Rossini tweets out that Cousins was the most expensive smokescreen in sports history. Can you imagine spending all of that money on Cousins to then draft Michael Penix 8th over? You've got a top 10 pick. A top 10 pick. Michael Penix could be 27 by the time he gets on the field. If I was a Falcons fan, I would lose it. I would have lost my mind. All right, so before we wrap up here, I'm wondering what we think. Are we thinking the Patriots trade back in to the first round? That's an option. They could also, of course, maybe trade for a veteran wide receiver by keeping 34. They can stick and pick at 34. So it's a very interesting situation. Very interesting situation that's going to develop. And, you know, look, if there's a trade tonight, depending on when it happens, I might not be back. Y'all going to be going to bed or something, right? So I'm going to play it by ear. I'm not going to promise. It's my third podcast of the day. At some point, my voice might go. But it's going to be interesting. If something exciting happens, then you know I'm going to get back onto this thing. If something big happens, you know for a fact I'll be back on here doing another podcast because I'll be so excited. I'll be doing cartwheels around the room, losing my mind. So I think trading back into the first round is an absolute possibility. I think that's an absolute possibility. I wouldn't say it's a probability just yet. But look, Eliot Wolf's aggressive. And I like that. You know, Eliot Wolf made an aggressive offer to Calvin Ridley. Eliot Wolf made the aggressive draft pick tonight by picking Drake Maye. That's being aggressive. That's looking for talent and going after it. All right. Take a little bit of a break. Give me that thumbs up, subscribe, rate, and review. I got to go post this to Spotify as well. Drake Maye, let's all put the glasses up. Drake Maye, congratulations. New England Patriot. Kind of weird, New England Patriot, but he is the guy now, future of this franchise. I said I put him above Jaden Daniels going back about a month or so ago. I officially made Drake Maye my favorite, most available quarterback. I'm very happy that they picked him. They have to develop him. They have to support him. I believe Eliot Wolf and this staff will do that. So let's go one more cheers. Feels so good when it hits the lips. Big night. Big night tonight. Maybe it'll get even bigger. If nothing big happens tonight, I'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. We will preview the second round. We'll look at who the best players are still available on the board. We'll talk about some certain options that the Patriots can look at. It's a fun time. I've had a great night. Hopefully, many of you have had a great night. And let's see what they do. Eliot Wolf might have something else up his sleeve. Until the next time, which could be in a half hour, an hour, 2 hours, could be in 10 hours. I don't know. But until the next time, this is, of course, you know what it is. The Nick Cattle Show. I appreciate every single one of you.